We just got the biggest news yet when it comes to the Bud Light boycott, when it comes to the Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light situation. As you can see on the screen right here, we got some huge news today. This is from Adage. It's an article stating that Bud Light's marketing leadership undergoes shakeup after Dylan Mulvaney controversy. Alyssa Heinerschneid, I guess is how you say it. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her last name, but who has led the brand since June, takes leave of absence and is replaced by Budweiser Global Marketing VP Todd Allen. If you remember a few videos ago, probably like a few days ago at this point, I posted a video stating that there are some rumors swirling around that the VP of marketing that released a very embarrassing video. If you don't know, I'll kind of jog your memory later on in the video and show you this one, which was very embarrassing, and it kind of sums up this entire thing. We were all wondering how in the world Bud Light thought it was a good idea to put Dylan Mulvaney as the face of them, and this video kind of sums it all up, and it kind of sums up everything that's wrong with all of these corporations nowadays, because we all wonder, why do they go woke when they know that they're going to lose fans, when they know that they're going to lose money, especially brands like Bud Light that have a very strong existing fan base that is very much not woke. I don't want to say that it's anti-trans or anything like that, but it's very much not woke. It's very much not Dylan Mulvaney's target audience, you know? So we all wonder why brands like Bud Light do things like that. In this video right here of Alyssa, the former VP of marketing at Bud Light that just got fired, obviously, this video of her kind of sums up that whole thing. But as you can see right here, it says Alyssa Heinerschneid, who has led the brand since June, takes leave of absence. Leave of absence. It sounds very familiar, right? We heard somebody else who recently took a leave of absence, and that didn't end very well. And I was told by a million people, I'm talking about James O'Keefe, by the way, with Project Veritas. I was told by a million people, including my good friend YetiCast. If you're around this channel, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly the conversation that I'm talking about. I was told by so many people that it is truly just a leave of absence. They're just trying to let the whole situation simmer down. They're letting them step away, letting James step away until the whole thing simmers down. They do some research into what's going on, and then they'll bring him back, right? Same thing. I'm sure a ton of people are going to come in the comments of this video saying, oh, it's just Alyssa taking a leave of absence. There's a lot of heat coming her way. No, the sales are so bad for Bud Light that they got ahead of the entire situation, that they got ahead of the sales reports, and they're coming and firing Alyssa before we even get most of the sales reports, before we even get the big earnings reports from Bud Light. Imagine the heads that are going to roll once we actually do get the quarterly earnings reports for the sales of Bud Light, because I'm not going to stop making videos on this. I'm sure there's a ton of other people out there who have been covering this who feel the same way as me, and I'm sure there's a ton of people who are watching this video right now. If you could, leave a like to continue to push this narrative, to continue to push this boycott out there, because we can't take our foot off the gas now. We can't. You know, just because we see one big W from this, we haven't gotten an apology. They haven't backtracked on the Dylan Mulvaney stuff. We haven't gotten most of the things that we want to do. And for me personally, what I want to do out of this whole situation is send a message to the other corporations, not the other beer corporations, the other corporations of the world, no matter what field they're in, Hollywood, you know, whatever it is. Just send a message to them that if they platform people like this, if they platform people like Dylan Mulvaney, bad things could come their way. I'm not saying that it 100% will, because people have tried on this side of things to boycott things in the past and it just hasn't went very well. But just the threat that it might happen will deter a lot of them from platforming people like Dylan Mulvaney in the future. That's what I'm trying to get out of this. I'm not trying to get Alyssa fired. I don't really care about that. It definitely is a W. It's indisputable that this is a W. You know, and I think an apology would also be a big W, but it's not the W. It's not the win that we're looking for, in my opinion, personally. And here is the video I'll show you really quick. Disgusting video from Alyssa, just to jog your memory on what's really been going on inside of Bud Light and inside of all these corporations.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was...
I don't think you did your job very well, Alyssa. I'm going to be real with you.
This brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And we
also know that the CEO of Anheuser Busch is exposed to be former CIA. A lot of people are thinking that he might have planted Alyssa in this position to push this narrative forward. I have come to the conclusion that Alyssa is just an actual idiot. Like, she wasn't trying to push this narrative. I think that she might have been a little bit, maybe like 20% trying to push the narrative that she believes in the most. But I think 80% to 90% of this is just her being oblivious to what's really going on, to honestly what her job is. I think that she said right there that she wanted to attract a new audience, and later on she'll say that she doesn't want like the fratty audience. So that's why I think the 20% comes in, where I think that it's just her pushing her agenda a bit. but I think that she was truly trying to attract a younger audience. And to do so, she hired a TikTok star that gets a lot of engagement because Dylan Mulvaney has a lot of people that really like him and a lot of people that really hate him. So obviously he's going to get a lot of engagement when it comes to TikTok. She's like, oh, let's go get a TikTok star that gets a ton of engagement. Dylan Mulvaney is a perfect choice for Bud Light, right? And obviously it does push her agenda a little bit, but I think that she's just so incompetent that she didn't even think about the backlash that could come from Dylan Mulvaney. She just saw that Mr. Veiny, as I like to refer to him now going forward, she just saw that Mr. Veiny gets a lot of engagement on TikTok and thought it was a perfect candidate to be the face of Bud Light. And we see how that worked out. She no longer has a job.
What I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. Mm-hmm. And representation is.
And that's where I think that she's really pushing the agenda, where she says it feels inclusive and all that other BS that she just spewed. That says to me that she was pushing an agenda.
It's sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach. So
that's another line where it's just like, obviously she was trying to push an agenda somewhat. I think it was blatant incompetence for the most part, though. And I think that's, it's kind of exemplified in the fact that she got fired. She wasn't celebrated for the job that she did here. She wasn't celebrated that even though they lost a bunch of sales, even though they lost a bunch of customers, at least she pushed that agenda forward, because that's what the Hollywood studios do. People like Kathleen Kennedy that are running Star Wars into the ground. Yeah, you're losing a ton of fans. You're losing all of your support. But hey, at least you're, putting women in places of power. At least you're putting Ray in front and center. It doesn't really matter how horrible you are at your job at making profit. But at least you're putting the women in the places that they're supposed to be. At least you're putting minorities front and center. That's all that really matters to those people. So I thought it might have been a case of that, where Alyssa was simply put in her position to push that narrative forward, to only do that, regardless of what kind of hits they take to their profits and sales. But it seems like that wasn't the case at all. It seems like, yeah, she might have been pushing an agenda, but I think it was, at the end of the day, just incompetence. And let's look at some of the reactions to this. A campaign that appeals to women and men, that appeals to neither. Good work. Or I guess from a certain point of view, it appeals to both at the same time. Marketing is not about inclusivity. It's about finding your audience and targeting them. That's not everyone. Bad move. It's true. Like, what are you doing? You have a really strong built-in audience, a really strong one, and you just totally trash them. You just totally throw it in the trash by trying to get this new audience that for some reason, like, why do people want this audience? Like, it's like they will not settle for any other audience. They must have this audience. The extremely woke audience. I don't understand it. Bud Light had a very strong brand. They had it's hard to build a brand like that. It's hard to have that fratty brand, that fratty humor, and Bud Light built a brand surrounding that. And they built a brand off American, patriotism and things like that. And now they just threw it all away. They ruined it all. People are going to lose their jobs. Innocent people who are just simply employees who aren't trying to push any sort of agenda are going to lose their jobs because they can't sell beer anymore, because they can't sell Bud Light anymore. And all the Anheuser Busch products, I'm sure, are going to suffer. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you think that more heads will soon roll whenever we do get the quarterly earnings? Let me know what you guys think about the entire situation in the comments.